She's holding a torch in her hand, pointing towards heaven. And on the streets below her, people living out of trash cans are trying to believe.
Being socially excluded can act as a major barrier in accessing basic healthcare. Social exclusion occurs when a population group is stigmatised and discriminated against, resulting in a lack of appropriate access to resources and services. Vulnerable groups that leave quality housing are exposed to a vicious cycle of deprivation, unemployment, and often drug and alcohol abuse. The social determinant of social support goes hand in hand with social exclusion, as it allows for these vulnerable groups to gain access to appropriate services and care. The feeling of having someone who cares, loves, and respects you has a profound effect on health, especially mental health. A huge number of homeless youth are included in the group of those who are experiencing secondary homelessness, or as it is commonly referred to as couch surfing. These young people often therefore become part of the phenomenon of hidden homelessness. This hidden homelessness results in stigma that young people who are homeless are drug addicted and too far gone to help. As a result, youth who are homeless become excluded and therefore cannot use services that are greatly needed. Young people in crisis may also be unaware of the support available to them, or alternatively, all services offered to these young people are already at capacity. The Salvation Army runs a program called the Supported Accommodation Assistance Program in response to homelessness. However, 1 in 2 young people who seek the assistance of SAP are turned around due to inadequate space. Assistance, therefore, needs to be established to stop this exclusion cycle that keeps thousands of young people homeless. Fortunately, there exists growing knowledge of this hidden homelessness, where these young people can gather together and get the information they need to gain assistance and shelter.
Housing as a social determinant of health is a complex relationship between housing and health, and the fact that poor or lack of housing is frequently associated with poorer health. Housing impacts on health if it is not appropriately designed, is poorly located, is not secure, is not affordable, or if it cannot be accessed at all. Adequate housing is defined as safe, secure, and affordable shelter, and also relates to making connections with the wider community through education, employment, and community networks. On any given night in Australia, over 26,000 young people are homeless, a number which is on the rise. Often when young individuals leave home, there is a lack of preparation and support in regards to housing. As such, their access to suitable alternative accommodation may be very limited and may force them to stay in unstable accommodation or become rough sleepers. The high costs of housing, the lack of affordable housing, and a lack of financial resources perpetuates the homelessness cycle. Salvation Army's Oasis Youth Support Network, Oasis, provides a place of safety and care where young people can find refuge. They work with young people aged between 16 and 24, many of whom may have experienced complex trauma. Oasis provides services such as crises and transitional accommodation, case management, education and training, living skills and outreach programs. It helps to accommodate and feed more than 100 homeless young people on any given night.
Substance abuse and addiction, a major social determinant of health amongst Australian youth, is both a response to social breakdown and an important factor that aggravates their critical living condition. Although the use of alcohol, drugs or tobacco can often provide a temporary escape from adversity and stress, it also can worsen the resulting inequalities in health. These factors, which are all closely associated with indicators of social and economic deprivation, are extremely demanding on a young person's living situation and are the main causes of ill health and premature death among this demographic. Breaking an addiction is difficult for anyone, especially for homeless youth. For many young people, prevention strategies for drug use are poor, where the social support systems are absent and peer pressure is high. For homeless youth, survival and acquiring these temporary coping mechanisms is more important than seeking assistance. However, without a social support network, recovering from a substance addiction is very difficult. This results in a worsening of living conditions and health problems, thus decreasing their ability to acquire income, employment, or housing stability.
The social determinant of employment can be defined as the measures to clarify how different types of jobs and the threat of unemployment affects workers' health. The links of having meaningful and relevant education can be seen in both personal and social development. Therefore, employment opportunities and income influence housing, transport, community participation, and many other determinants of health. The links to youth homelessness and employment include the discussion of how it is a cycle. The 2014 Youth Homelessness Matters Day campaign run by the New South Wales Y Foundations emphasises that youth homelessness does not include just those visible on the streets or sleeping rough. It discusses the many reasons a young person may find themselves homeless, such as family breakdown, crime, low or no income, This then leads to a person being vulnerable. These young people often don't deserve to be homeless. They may have just had a string of circumstances out of their control. Being unemployed and homeless affects health in that the income that they may receive from the government will be limited and therefore health may be compromised.
'Cause this'll just keep up until we make a